Unafraid Show. It's your boy George Reister in the building. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your energy. Thank you for joining Unafraid Show. Make sure that you go to unafraidshow.com. Whole bunch of great articles up. The Pac-12 power rankings are up. The college football top 10 are up. Got so much in store for you guys. We got a couple really good things on track for you guys today. First of which is the reaction to the College Football Playoff Committee Top 25, Election Day coverage, and also the Pac-12 Power Rankings. But we're going to start where we start pretty much every day now. We're going to start with a fun fact. Fun fact of the day. The United States Navy has started using Xbox controllers for their periscopes. For the periscopes to go up and down on the submarines or ships or and all of that, it's because it reduces the learning time from hours to minutes because kids already know how to do it. So for all of you parents out there that are trying to tell their kids not to play with video games, go fly a kite because there is clearly good money in it. There is clearly a future in video games. So we want to get right into yesterday with the election. Not going to cover it too much, but I just wanted to say something that I tweeted out on Twitter, is that there was all that red wall, red wave, blue wall talk. And I was like, this is rhetoric for the simple-minded. Like, how on earth or why on earth would I vote straight down the Democratic ticket or the Republican ticket? Why would I do that? I mean, like, the best candidate doesn't always register with your political party. There are untrustworthy idiots on both sides. Vote wisely. Hope you voted wisely. You see Jeff Sessions stepped down today as Attorney General. Curious timing. Didn't do it yesterday. Didn't do it the day before. Always protect the party. Yeah, so vote for the best candidate. I mean, because these are your rights. These are your freedoms. And these are people either trying to protect their own interests or trying to protect yours. Vote for the right people. So now we're going to get straight into the College Football Committee Top 25. Because I was not feeling the top 25 at all. I don't know where you guys were at on it, but here's where I am. Because like the Unafraid Show Top 25, the Unafraid Show Top 10. I had it pretty much the way the committee had it. I had Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Notre Dame 3, Michigan 4, Oklahoma 5, Georgia 6, and then Washington State 7, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, then Central Florida. And I thought it was very curious how the committee ranked them because LSU is clearly overvalued. Clearly overvalued. They didn't score one single solitary point against Alabama. Lost 29-0. But this is a team that only moves down 4 spots. I mean, the SEC gets so much love, dude. Like, Alabama wins championships. Everybody else is not winning them around there right now. And when you look at LSU's schedule, they played Miami, who's not even ranked. Which, that was a great... No, Auburn's not even ranked. No, sorry. They played Mississippi State and Georgia. Those are 2 wins. But when you compare that to what Washington State has done, what even West Virginia has done, like, it is completely overvaluing LSU. It is almost like the committee is trying to find a way. How can we put 3 SEC teams in the playoff? How can we do it? Last year we managed to get 2. I bet we can get 3 this year. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And the other thing I noticed and then another team that's ranked entirely too high would be Kentucky. Kentucky lost last week to Georgia. Wasn't close. And this is a team that doesn't have quality wins either. They got to win over Florida. They got to win over Florida And that's about it. That is literally it. Kentucky has beat Central Michigan, Florida, Murray State. Oh, they did beat Mississippi State, so they're going to get a little bit of credit there. South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. I mean, like, this is the 11th ranked team in the country. Like, there is an element. Like, I'm not a huge believer in the eye test because the eye test will fool you, especially when judging SEC teams because they're only judged against themselves. So you always have to be careful of the eye test. But the eye test on Kentucky says they're good on defense, marginal on offense. They almost lost to Missouri. That this is a team that can be beat by anybody else in the country. That's what that tells me. That's exactly what that tells me about Kentucky. But the other thing is that the ACC is getting a ton of love. You got Syracuse in the top 15, NC State in the top 15, Boston College sitting at 17. I mean, that they are getting major love, major love right now for the ACC, which brings up the Notre Dame conspiracy theories because Notre Dame plays a ton of ACC games. They got Florida State coming up. So now imagine this. The ACC is getting a lot of love. So what does that do? That all but ensures that Notre Dame stays in the top 4 if they go undefeated. And maybe even be able to get in with one loss. Come on, man. I know what's happening. I know you guys know what's happening too. Like, it's clear. Like, this is not a secret. Like, this is not a myth. This is what it is. And you cannot deny it. But the teams that are in the top 4 now are not the teams that I believe will finish in the top 4. Because you have Notre Dame, who does not have an easy rest of their schedule. They still got Florida State, Syracuse, and USC. So the likelihood of them dropping a game is probably higher than any other team in the top 4 besides Michigan. Michigan has Ohio State left, and then they're going to have the winner of the Big Ten East. So that's already going to be crazy and going to be tough as it stands. Clemson has the easiest road in the ACC because the people in their division, they can't end up playing them they've already beat them and they can't play them in the ACC championship. So Clemson won't be losing. So what will the top 4 ultimately look like? The top 4 is ultimately going to be, I believe, Alabama 1, obviously, because they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose an SEC championship to Georgia. They're not going to lose in the Iron Bowl. This team is not going to lose. And then you got Clemson at number 2. I think Notre Dame drops a game. And then you're going to end up with Michigan and Oklahoma in the playoffs. And I want it in that order. I want Michigan number 3 and Oklahoma number 4. That way Oklahoma has to play Alabama because I want to see how Alabama defends the most potent offense in all of college football. I know Alabama fans are snickering at that because they think they have it, but Oklahoma's pass game cannot be touched. Like, it is clear it cannot be touched. They are the best. The best. They are Maynard. They are the best. They have the best wide receivers. Hollywood Brown, Lamb, the other guy. I mean, like, they got Kyler Murray at quarterback is just as explosive as Tua Tagovailoa at Alabama. Like, you can't deny these things. So that's what I think the top 4 is going to end up being like. And Oklahoma's path to the playoffs is pretty clear. They're going to get West Virginia twice, probably. They're going to get them. They're going to get West Virginia twice. They're going to get them in the last game of the season. So you're going to have a top 10 matchup there. Potentially a top 5 matchup at that point in time. And then they're going to play them again. So they're going to get a huge boost. by winning 2 consecutive really good games. You cannot deny that. So that's why I think Oklahoma ultimately gets in. But they're going to have to survive against Oklahoma State this next week. You got, what is LSU's path to the playoffs? LSU should not have a path to the playoffs. Like, the whole fact that if you don't win your conference, you shouldn't be in the playoffs. Like, I'm of that mindset. There's so many people, it doesn't matter, this and that. No, it matters. But you can lose your conference with 1 loss. If you're that good, you're supposed to win. You are supposed to win. So why on earth would I give you a concession for losing a game that you should have won? I'm not doing it. Nobody should. What is Washington State's path to the playoffs? Washington State, if they finish out their games against Washington, which is a top 25 team at this point in time. So if they beat Washington and they turn around and beat and they finish their last other 2 games undefeated, they finish 11-1. So they play Arizona and Colorado. They finish those 2 games and then beat Washington, who will continuously be ranked higher, and then win the Pac-12 championship. They will be sitting pretty in a position when chaos happens. Chaos happens in the college football playoff every single year. There is no time that it does not happen. You guys, make sure you guys send in your questions, comments, and I will get to them. You guys are watching the Unafraid Show, going over the college football top 25 reaction, the path to the playoffs for all the teams that are in striking distance, and the Pac-12 power rankings are coming up next. So you got the path to the playoffs for Washington State is simple. They need a little bit of chaos and then to continue to win. Notre Dame, I believe, is going to take an L, and then Washington State would jump ahead of them without a conference championship. Believe that would happen pretty clearly. They would jump over a 2-loss LSU. Ohio State would be out of it with 2 losses. Or Ohio State could be out of it too, even with a win against Michigan. So this thing's going to get dicey and it's going to get tricky. Because there's never been a year where it just is chalk, where the top 4 in week 11 just continue to win out and then they end up there. It does not happen. People get nervous, people get tight, and they lose football games when it counts and matters the most. Now we will get to the Pac-12 power rankings. You guys let me know as well. Send an email to immad@unafraidshow.com. I am MAD unafraidshow.com. We are going to lining up interviews starting for next week. And I want to know who you guys want to see on the show and want to hear on the show. And I will get them on for you guys. We got the Pac-12 power rankings coming in now. They are available on unafraidshow.com. Make sure you log on, share with a friend, and tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. So number 12 in the Pac-12 power rankings, because the Pac-12 is still undecided. South Division is wide open. You got 4 teams that can still win the division. The North is a 2-team race between Washington and Washington State, unless some insanity happens over the next couple weeks, like they both drop 2 games. That would be crazy. And like the Pac-12 power rankings week 11, it's based upon wins, schedule played, and dominance. Like, I don't factor in the eye test, and I don't make biased rankings. You won't find those here. And send in your questions. I will get to those. Whatever platform you're watching in, listening in, send an email, whatever. So, no, I do not look like Cardell Jones' older brother. Get out of here. Oregon State coming in at number 12. They returned back to earth after beating Colorado the week before. Like, the good news is that they found a quarterback in Jake Luton. The bad news is Lutton's a senior. But they do have a legit running back for the first time in a while, Jamar Jefferson. He's a freshman, already eclipsed 1,000 yards. And, like, overall, you would have to say that Oregon State is having a better year than last year. They actually won a Pac-12 game. They won 2 games already. They are 100% better, right? Right? Number 11 in the Pac-12 power rankings. Swipe up, share the feed, tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. Number 11, Colorado, 5-4. They just took a loss to Arizona, 42-34. This is a team that's spiraling out of control. I'm not called for your job, guy. However, it cannot be lost on you that Mike McIntyre had gotten some job security when Colorado started out 5-0. And now that they've lost 4 straight games, it's not looking good for Colorado at this point in time. Like, his job is going to be in danger. And their last 3 games are against Washington State, Utah, and Cal. Washington State, Utah, and Cal. Like, that is not an easy path to get out. It is very possible that this team finishes 5-7. And if they finish with another losing record after starting out 5-0, Mike McIntyre is getting the can. Colorado's probably going to offer the job to Jim Leavitt. Like, these are the things that can seriously happen. And Colorado has fallen from the top tier of the Pac-12 in rushing defense, rushing offense, third down conversions, and sacks. They've fallen from the rankings. Not looking good. Number 10 in the Pac-12 power rankings, UCLA. They're 2-7. Like, if you see a team that's 2-7, you would say that there's no improvement, there's nothing good there. But it's clear that this team is moving in the right direction. They went from not being able to run the ball or throw the ball in the beginning of the season, looking like they were going to go 0-12, won back-to-back games, and they found a way to run the football. They got Joshua Kelly, the kid who transferred from UC Davis, which is a great story. He kept calling down to UCLA like, yo, like, listen to me. I want to transfer. And they wouldn't hear it. Called for like a month straight. They finally heard the man's plea. And he got in there. He's a solid running back, like him. But here's what I know about UCLA. As bad as the season has gone, Chip Kelly's getting his college football legs back under him. And a win against USC would make the entire season worth it. A win in 2 weeks against USC would literally erase every single thing that's gone wrong this season, and confidence and happiness with Chip would be good. And USC's vulnerable right now. And they are the team that's sitting at number 9 in the Pac-12 power rankings. They're sitting at 5-4. They just beat Oregon State. You don't get much credit for beating the Beavers. This team, the Trojans, have been inconsistent rushing the football all season. But they did. They did have their best rushing output of the season against Oregon State. Clay Helton was calling the plays. He can beat his chest after because they rushed for 332 yards on the ground. But it was against the worst rushing defense in the entire Pac-12 and one of the worst in the conference. The question is, can they keep up the momentum through the rest of the season? Because they play Cal this week. And Cal has the best pass defense in the Pac-12. And they stopped the run as well. They didn't stop the run against UCLA, but they can stop the run. And I'm going to tell you this. Like, the USC fans are going to be at DEFCON 1. They're at about DEFCON 3 right now. That's the level of urgency and alarm. They're going to be at DEFCON 1 because losses against Cal, UCLA, and Notre Dame are very possible. Very possible. I mean, you would think that USC might want to do Washington State and the Pac-12 a solid by beating Notre Dame, but I don't trust this team right now. Another team on the ups is Cal. If you told Cal that they would be sitting at 5-4 right now with 3 games left, and one of them against a weak Stanford, and one of them against USC, who's down as well, they would have took it. Hell yeah, they're on the way to a bowl game. Like, Cal needs one more victory to get to a bowl game. Like, I talked to the Cal coaches before the season started. Their goal was a bowl game. That was it. Like, they're like, we just want to get to a bowl game. That's improvement. And they have themselves in a position to do so. It didn't look like it was going to happen, but they have won huge games in the Pac-12. And if they can manage at least 23 points, they're averaging 23 points on the season. If they can hit their season average, they will have a chance to win all 3 of their last games. But you know what they're going to have to stop doing? They're going to have to stop this quarterback shuffle rotation thing. I've told you guys about football math. Real world math, 1 + 1 = 2. And in football land, 1 quarterback plus 1 quarterback on the same team equals 0. That means you have no quarterback. And they keep switching between Chase Garbers, Brandon McElwain, and Brandon McElwain is a turnover machine. They had a chance to go up a touchdown on Washington State late in the 4th quarter the last week, and he threw a pick in the end zone. Worst case scenario, they get a field goal. And Washington State had only scored, 13 points. They barely even scored. Man, that was a disaster. That was an absolute disaster. Number 7, Stanford in the Pac-12 power rankings. I mean, David Shaw is usually a shoo-in for 10 wins. It's not going to happen this year. He's got 3 games left. Intellectual brutality is just brutal right now. There ain't no brutality to it. I mean, just self-inflicted wounds. They can't run the football. Only scoring 26 points a game. 11th in the conference in total offense. Like, this is not what David Shaw is used to. It's not. Like, KJ Costello, their quarterback, has been inconsistent. Like, when you look at the fact that he threw for 347 yards against Washington, you're like, and 2 touchdowns, you're like, oh, yeah, that was great. Yeah, that's a nice game. Until you find out he threw 3 interceptions. And he only got the ball to their best wide receiver, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, 1 time for 11 yards. Bryce Love, their running back, has lost a lot of money right now. He had everybody fooled thinking that he was a top-flight NFL running back. But he's not. He's too light. He's a 3rd down back and a kick returner. And he went from potentially being drafted in the 1st round. Now he's going to be a 4th round draft pick. Or 3rd. I'm just saying. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is the truth. They still do have a chance to finish 8-4 because their last game's against Oregon State, Cal, and UCLA. Like, this is something that the Pac-12 needs to do much better of. Backloading the schedule. Backloading the schedule with rivalry games and with their best teams. Like the teams that are going to be consistently good year in and year out. Like Oregon and Washington should play the last game of the season. You should have USC and Stanford playing at the end of the year. You see what I'm saying? It's all optics, man. And Larry Scott has not figured it out. Pac-12 commissioner has not figured it out at all. Utah sitting at number 6. They got they got beat up by Arizona State. And do you know who the biggest beneficiary of the Arizona State-Utah game was? Oregon. Because Oregon, whose offense has not been traveling on the road, gets the benefit of Tyler Huntley, the Utah quarterback, being out. He's going to miss the rest of the season with a broken collarbone. So if you are an Oregon fan, if you are the Oregon Ducks, you're like, okay, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. We'll take it. Of course you'll take it. I mean, like, you don't want the kid hurt, but you're not gonna sit up there and argue with it either. Like, you're gonna be okay. Well, you got to play with who's on the field. Number 5, Arizona State. Herm Edwards is doing a good job at this team. I mean, like, and Manny Wilkins, who I had been a little bit critical of this year, had not finally had kind of like a breakout game. He had a game to where he was able to get the ball to N'Keal Harry a bunch of times. And N'Keal Harry showed out. 9 catches, 161 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And this was the exact kind of performance that we have been waiting to see out of those two, out of that duo, all year. They had struggled to score the ball, but now toward the end of the season, it seems like they're getting some momentum going. Neither guy will be there next year because N'Keal Harry will be in the NFL, and you got Manny Wilkins won't be there. I don't know if he'll be in the NFL, but he won't be at Arizona State. Washington sitting at number 4. I know everybody's wondering, where the hell is Arizona? We'll get to them. Washington sitting at number 4 against Stanford. Like, Washington had so many hopes this season. Like, their rushing defense, their defense was supposed to be the strength of the team. And Jake Browning was supposed to be a senior quarterback. He's ready. I told y'all, he's the Achilles heel. Like, if it weren't for the defense forcing 3 turnovers against Stanford, they would have lost. They would have lost. Like a zero turnover game, they would have lost. Their offense can't score enough points to win the game at this point in time. Like, to beat decent teams. But the good news is they got Myles Gaskin back. He rushed for 148 yards. And despite all the negatives that's going on with Washington, their season not going the way that they wanted, they have a berth in the Pac-12 championship game awaiting them if they can beat Oregon State, which they will, and Washington State. I mean, with all of that, they could finish 9-3, go to the Pac-12 title game, and then end up in the Rose Bowl. Wow. That would be pretty incredible. Sitting at number 3, the team that beat Washington, Oregon. Like, they got a much-needed win against UCLA. The defense and special teams led the way. The truth of the gotcha is that the score will fool you into believing that the Ducks' offense is back on track. It's not. It's not back on track where they want it to be at this point in time. Like, because it took all the way to the 4th quarter for them to be able to, the end of the 3rd quarter, beginning of the 4th quarter, to be able to score a touchdown where they received the ball and didn't get a turnover, a fake punt, a punt return, any of that to put points on the board. Your offense has to be able to drive it down. And but Tony Brooks James did make a big play. Like a long run, 67-yard touchdown pass from Herbert to Dylan Mitchell. These are good things. Like, those are good signs. But you played against a Swiss cheese defense, so you're supposed to do that. But they weren't able to do it against Arizona State. Against Arizona. So any progress is welcome. They go to Utah they go to Salt Lake City to face the Utes this weekend. And Marcus Arroyo gotta put some points up on the board because you got to be firing on all cylinders against this tough Utah team. Arizona 5-5, sitting at number 2. Why the hell is Arizona sitting at number 2? Because they keep winning. I mean, like everything about the eye test tells me that Arizona is a middle of the road Pac-12 team. Their record even suggests that. But they just continue to win games. Khalil Tate's not a top-tier passer. He scrambles around, throws the ball 12 south at 5-5. Oh my God, dude. Like, this is like the Big Ten East. This is this is incredible. That sitting at 5-5, They control their own destiny in the Pac-12 South. Yikers. That is incredible. They only got 2 games left. They got Washington State and Arizona. And I'm sorry, Arizona State. Wow. I predicted Arizona would win the Pac-12 South, but not in my wildest dreams did I fathom that it would look like this. Number 1 team in the Pac-12, Washington State. The Cougars are sitting at number 8 in the college football playoffs. Something special is brewing in Pullman. Mike Leach has turned one of the worst college football teams into a playoff contender. Like, nobody expected their success. And I applaud them, and I'm still rooting for Washington State every single game right now. The Pac-12 Bowl predictions via USA Today. These are not the George Reister or the Unafraid Show Bowl predictions. These are from USA Today, which I cite, which some people couldn't read. Right now they have Ohio State versus Washington State in the Rose Bowl. The Holiday Bowl, Iowa versus Stanford. San Francisco Bowl, Northwestern versus Utah. The Sun Bowl, Boston College versus Oregon. The Alamo Bowl, Texas versus Washington. The Texas Bowl, Oklahoma State versus Colorado. The Independence Bowl, Duke versus Cal. The Cheez-It Bowl, Nevada versus USC. And the Las Vegas Bowl, Utah State versus Arizona State. Who's not in there? Arizona. Because USA Today somehow feels like that they will lose to Arizona State and they will lose to Washington State. Wow. And they believe Cal will get in. That's pretty incredible. I would feel all types of disrespected if I were Arizona. I would feel all types of disrespected by that. You guys, thank you guys for joining me today with the Pac-12 Power Rankings. We got a little election coverage and a college football playoff top 25 reaction. Peace out. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Make sure you visit unafraidshow.com. All type of articles up, all type of great things. And make sure you guys like the feed, share the feed, and tell a friend about the Unafraid Show.